Stop everything because what just surfaced has turned the entire Love and Hip Hop Atlanta universe upside down. For years, fans whispered, speculated, and tossed around theories about Mendeecees living a double life. But now, those murmurs are no longer just gossip. Explosive receipts have emerged that point directly to a hidden child. A child that could destroy everything he and Yandy built together. This isn't some baseless rumor or a jealous ex throwing shade. According to insiders, there are documents, photographs, and private messages that connect Mendeecees to a child he never once claimed publicly. The moment this revelation hit the set, the chaos was instant. Yandy's reaction was raw, heartbreaking, and unforgettable. She reportedly collapsed into tears, sobbing uncontrollably and even lashed out at producers. Her voice cracked as she accused them of betrayal, saying she had been blindsided yet again. Meanwhile, the cast froze in shock. Some gasped, others whispered in disbelief, and social media, it erupted within seconds. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram timelines ignited with hashtags, memes, and divided opinions. Was this the ultimate betrayal, or just another messy scandal in a show built on drama? One question now consumes every fan, every castmate, and every critic watching. Can Yandy survive this revelation? Or is this the scandal that finally shatters her marriage and changes the course of Love and Hip Hop forever? The whispers had always been there, but now the proof was undeniable. According to leaks, producers were handed a folder stacked with what many are calling the most damaging receipts in franchise history. Not rumors, not speculation, hard evidence. Inside the folder sat a birth certificate, and not just any birth certificate. In bold print, under the line for father, was the name Mendeecees Harris, a child barely 5 or 6 years old listed as his. That alone was enough to shake the room. But the paperwork didn't end there. There were old text messages, pages of them exchanged late at night between Mendeecees and the alleged mother. Conversations about money, mentions of our baby, and messages where he allegedly tried to keep the situation hidden. One exchange even showed him sending cash transfers with short notes, like, for the little one. Then came the photographs. Grainy snapshots, but powerful nonetheless. Mendeecees at a park standing near a young boy whose features mirrored his own. Another image allegedly captured him holding the child, his expression almost tender, as if no cameras were supposed to see. And if that wasn't enough, insiders revealed child support documents tied directly to his name. Dates, amounts, payment records, paper trails that connected the dots no one wanted to believe. Together, these receipts painted a story far more sinister than gossip ever suggested. They implied not only knowledge, but concealment, a deliberate effort to keep this secret life buried in the shadows. For fans, it was the smoking gun. For Yandy, it was the ultimate betrayal. And for the Love and Hip Hop world, it was proof that the chaos wasn't manufactured. It was real, messy, and devastating. The receipts had landed, and with them, a scandal too big to bury. The moment the receipts surfaced, Yandy's world seemed to implode. Her voice cracked, her body shook, tears streamed down her face as the reality hit like a freight train. She pleaded for answers, asking again and again how this could have been kept from her. Her sobs filled the room, raw and unfiltered, the kind of breakdown that no editing could soften. But as she collapsed into grief, the cameras kept rolling. Every angle, every detail. Viewers weren't just seeing a storyline. They were witnessing a woman unravel in real time. Some crew members hesitated, unsure if continuing to film crossed an invisible line. Others argued this was exactly what Love and Hip Hop was built on. Unfiltered drama, no matter how devastating. Producers were faced with an impossible decision. Do they cut the cameras out of respect for her pain, or do they let the footage play out, knowing the audience craves authenticity? Ultimately, the choice was made to keep filming, framing Yandy's anguish as both a personal tragedy and a storyline centerpiece. The breakdown was not staged. It was not rehearsed. It was heartbreak captured in its purest form. The silence between her cries was deafening. Castmates stood frozen, unable to comfort her, knowing the cameras were catching every move. And as Yandy shouted accusations of betrayal, calling out the show for blindsiding her, the producers didn't step in. They let it unfold. It was raw. It was brutal. It was television history in the making, and it left everyone asking, where is the line between entertainment and exploitation? When a woman's collapse becomes the headline, who really wins? For years, Yandy and Mendeecees weren't just another couple on Love and Hip Hop. They were the image of stability, the pair who balanced chaos with loyalty, the anchor in a storm of scandal. Fans looked at them as proof that love could survive even in the harshest spotlight. And when Mendeecees faced his darkest hour, It was Yandy who stood tall. She didn't flinch when he was hit with serious legal charges. She didn't crumble when he was sentenced and sent away. Instead, she carried the family on her back. She raised their children, kept the household intact, and stayed visible on the show, always reminding audiences that her loyalty wasn't negotiable. She wore her devotion like armor, often declaring that her love for him was unshakable, even behind prison walls. That image became their brand. Yandy, the ride-or-die partner who never walked away. Mendeecees, the man who could count on her no matter the storm. Their storyline wasn't built on betrayal or infidelity like so many others in the franchise. It was built on perseverance, trust, and public devotion. And that is why this new scandal feels like such a piercing betrayal. The alleged secret child doesn't just expose dishonesty. It rewrites the entire narrative. It takes years of sacrifice of public loyalty and smashes them into fragments. For Yandy, the heartbreak isn't only about deception. It's about humiliation, about realizing that while she fought to uphold his image, there may have been another life, another family hidden in the shadows. Fans now see the cracks in what once looked like the strongest foundation. The very couple that once symbolized endurance is now at the center of a betrayal too massive to ignore. And the question lingers, was their love story ever as real as it seemed? Or has the truth been concealed all along? The shocking part about this revelation is that it didn't appear out of nowhere. For years, there were whispers, quiet conversations behind the scenes, anonymous blogs posting cryptic hints, small social media accounts claiming Mendeecees wasn't the man he portrayed on screen. Rumors about a hidden child surfaced more than once, but they never gained traction. Fans debated constantly. Some insisted the gossip was nothing more than jealousy. They argued Yandy and Mendeecees were untouchable, too strong to be shaken by outside noise. Others weren't so convinced. They pointed to small inconsistencies, a vague post here, a suspicious absence there, little pieces that on their own felt harmless, but together they hinted at something larger. Still, without solid evidence, most dismissed it. Love and hip-hop has always thrived on exaggeration, and too many viewers. This was just another overblown story designed to stir drama. Even cast members brushed it off, laughing at the idea that Mendeecees would risk everything when his family's image was so carefully protected. But the whispers never fully disappeared. They lingered in the background like smoke that wouldn't clear. And each time Yandy defended him, she doubled down on her loyalty, brushing off the gossip as lies meant to tarnish their legacy. Her unwavering faith only made the rumors feel weaker until now, because this time, the evidence was undeniable. The receipts weren't vague or questionable. They were clear, detailed, and impossible to dismiss. What fans once treated as baseless chatter has transformed into the most explosive scandal the franchise has ever seen. And suddenly those whispers of the past don't feel like rumors anymore. They feel like warnings that everyone ignored until the truth finally broke through. The tension inside the restaurant was already sharp before the folder ever touched the table. Cast dinners have always been charged with arguments and confessions, but nothing prepared them for what was about to unfold. The moment the thick envelope was placed down, the energy shifted. Forks stopped clinking. Conversations froze mid-sentence. All eyes locked on the manila folder, sitting at the center like a ticking time bomb. A hush swept over the table as someone slid the folder open. Inside, neatly stacked papers and glossy photographs waited. The first page pulled out was a birth certificate. Gasps erupted instantly. The name printed on the father's line silenced any doubts. Mendeecees Harris, a child's name directly linked to his. The table shook as cast members pushed back their chairs in disbelief. But that was just the beginning. Text messages were next. Screenshots with timestamps, dates, and late-night conversations between Mendeecees and the alleged mother. Words like "our baby" and "support" glared back at the cast in black and white. Each line read aloud was like another dagger aimed at Yandy's chest. She tried to stay composed, but her hands trembled against the table. Then came the photos. And these were the ones that silenced even the loudest voices. A grainy image of Mendeecees at a playground standing beside a young boy with strikingly familiar features. Another snapshot, clearer this time, showed him holding the child, his face soft and almost fatherly. The resemblance was undeniable. Shock waves rippled through the room. Some cast members buried their faces in their hands. Others whispered "no way" under their breath. A few leaned closer, staring at the images as though trying to find flaws, desperate for some sign they were fabricated. But the more they looked, the harder it became to deny. One final piece was laid on the table: child support documents, official, dated, signed, The paper trail painted the most damning picture of all: ongoing payments connected to Mendeecees. The room erupted again, half in disbelief, half in rage. Yandy's tears fell freely, and the cast sat frozen in the storm of revelation. It was no longer rumor, no longer speculation. It was receipts in black and white, spilling across the dinner table for everyone to see. In that moment, the cast realized the truth was undeniable. A secret hidden for years had been dragged into the light, and nothing about their world would ever be the same again. When the paperwork and photos hit the table, all eyes turned to Mendeecees. The room demanded answers. His face was tight, his voice low, but he finally spoke. He didn't deny the child. Instead, he called it old history. He insisted the situation happened years before, long before he and Yandy had solidified their bond. According to him, this was nothing new, nothing current, just ghosts from the past, resurfacing at the worst possible time. But the timeline didn't add up. Cast members quickly pointed out the child's age, the dates stamped on the paperwork, and the messages that stretched far beyond when he claimed it ended. If this was truly in the past, why did receipts suggest otherwise? Why were child support payments still ongoing? Why did the texts show contact long after his supposed cut point? The defense only fueled more outrage. Some castmates called him out directly, accusing him of spinning half-truths to soften the blow. Others questioned whether Yandy had been living in a carefully constructed lie the entire time. Each inconsistency made the betrayal sting deeper. Yandy's expression said it all. Broken trust, shattered loyalty. Every explanation he offered felt like another wound. And with every word, the cast grew more convinced that this wasn't a ghost from the past. It was a secret still very much alive. Mendeecees tried to hold the line, but the timeline problem was impossible to bury. The evidence contradicted his story, and for everyone watching, one chilling thought hung heavy in the air. If this is what's being revealed now, what else has been hidden in the dark? As the cast erupted over the timeline issues, one face remained unusually calm. Jasmine. She sat back in her chair with a smirk curling across her lips, watching the chaos like someone who already knew the ending to a story no one else had read. That smirk alone was enough to turn heads, but what came next pushed the tension to another level. Jasmine pulled out her phone. With deliberate slowness, she scrolled and tilted the screen just enough for those closest to see. Screenshots. More messages. More late-night exchanges between Mendeecees and the alleged mother. Words that carried weight. Mentions of secrecy. Mentions of meetings. Mentions that tied him closer to this hidden life than he wanted to admit. When pressed, Jasmine didn't reveal everything at once. Instead, she dropped hints like grenades one at a time. She claimed she knew exactly who the mother was, and then she teased a revelation that froze the entire table. According to Jasmine, the woman in question wasn't some stranger. She wasn't a nameless outsider. She was connected, closer to the circle than anyone dared to believe. The suggestion alone sent the cast into uproar. Gasps, shouts, disbelief ricocheting across the room. Could it be someone tied to the show? Someone they all interacted with? The idea that the mother might be embedded within their own world was more explosive than any receipt shown so far. Jasmine didn't drop the name. Not yet. Instead, she leaned back with that same infuriating smirk and promised, the truth will come out soon enough. The silence that followed was heavier than the shouting, because if her tease was true, this wasn't just a betrayal of Yandy. It was a betrayal of the entire cast. And with that single hint, the scandal reached an entirely new level. No one was safe. No one could be trusted. The mother's identity wasn't just a detail, it was a ticking bomb waiting to detonate. When the room could not take another ounce of tension, Mona stepped forward with a folder of her own. The chatter died instantly. Everyone knew that tone, that pause before she spoke. And then the words dropped like thunder. DNA results. Official. Sealed. Verified. The cast froze. Eyes darting from Mona to Mendeecees to Yandy. No one breathed as she unfolded the paper and read the line that mattered most. Probability of eternity 99.9%. The number cut through the air, like glass shattering. The child was his. There was no space left for excuses. No wiggle room. No denials. Yandy collapsed into her seat, covering her face as sobs racked her body. The woman who had defended him for years was now forced to hear in cold scientific terms the confirmation of betrayal. Around her, the cast erupted. Some shouted in fury. Others sat in stunned silence, hands over their mouths. One or two stormed away from the table, unable to watch the wreckage unfold. Mendeecees tried to speak, but every word was drowned out by the storm of reactions. Castmates demanded answers, demanded accountability. They hurled accusations of lies, of manipulation, of dragging Yandy through humiliation she never deserved. The fallout was immediate. Trust in him shattered, the storyline of loyalty obliterated. And for the entire room, one truth became undeniable. The secret was no longer rumor, no longer speculation, it was fact. The DNA results had confirmed everything, and with that, the cast exploded into chaos that could never be undone. The moment the DNA results aired, the internet went into overdrive. Within minutes, clips from the dinner scene flooded the sight of Yandy collapse, the gasps, the accusations. Every frame was clipped, shared, and dissected. Hashtags trended worldwide. Memes popped up at lightning speed, some mocking, others filled with heartbreak. Twitter threads stretched for miles as fans debated whether Mendeecees had betrayed not just Yandy but the audience who believed in their love story. On TikTok, creators reenacted the reveal with dramatic music, pushing the moment into viral status. Instagram gossip pages had a field day posting side-by-side comparisons of the child and Mendeecees, fueling arguments in the comments section. It wasn't just a storyline anymore, it was cultural currency. Even celebrities couldn't stay silent. Influencers, rappers, and reality stars chimed in, some calling Mendeecees reckless, others expressing sympathy for Yandy. A few even admitted they weren't surprised, hinting that whispers about his secret had been circulating in private circles for years. Blogs ran non-stop coverage with headlines screaming betrayal, DNA, and devastation. The scandal became bigger than the show. It became an industry-wide talking point, and the ratings, they soared. The episode pulled in numbers the franchise hadn't seen in years. Viewership spiked overnight as clips went viral, and even casual fans rushed to witness the chaos firsthand. But with the spike came outrage. Petitions began circulating online. Some demanded the show protect Yandy from further humiliation. Others insisted Mona and the producers crossed a line by blindsiding her for the sake of ratings. Debates erupted about exploitation, ethics, and how far reality TV could go in the name of drama. The fallout was everywhere, on screens, on blogs, and podcasts, on radio shows. The love and hip-hop scandal wasn't just television drama anymore. It had become a full-blown cultural reckoning, and no one in the cast could escape its shadow. Just when it seemed the scandal couldn't escalate further, new voices stepped into the storm. Infinity, Yandy's adopted daughter, came forward with a confession that rattled everyone. Through trembling words, she admitted she had heard whispers long before the reveal. A friend had hinted at a child linked to Mendeecees, but she never brought it to Yandy out of fear. It would shatter their already fragile peace. Her honesty broke hearts because for Yandy, it wasn't just about the betrayal from Mendeecees anymore. It was about realizing someone under her own roof carried the weight of a secret she desperately needed to know. Then came another revelation. A stylist connected to the cast stepped forward, claiming the whispers weren't just circulating in the streets. They had reached the production crew months before cameras rolled. According to the streets, they had reached the production crew months before cameras rolled. According to the stylist, producers were fully aware of the allegations, and instead of warning Yandy, they carefully sat on the information, waiting for the perfect dramatic moment to unleash it on screen. This accusation cut deeper than the scandal itself. If true, it meant Yandy's devastation wasn't just the result of Mendeecees' betrayal. It was orchestrated, staged for maximum shock value. Her tears, her collapse, her humiliation, all served up as entertainment. The idea left fans furious. How much did the producers know? How long had they been holding this bombshell? And worse, how could they justify blindsiding a woman on national television with something so personal, so destructive? The claims painted a chilling picture of manipulation behind the scenes. A world where real pain became a storyline. A world where betrayal wasn't just marital, it was institutional. For many watching, it confirmed their worst fears. That in love and hip-hop, no one is truly safe. Not even the ones who give everything for loyalty and love. When the dust finally began to settle, the silence spoke louder than the shouting. Yandy withdrew completely. No interviews, no public statements, not even a single post on social media for a woman known to speak her truth. Her silence became deafening. Fans scrolled her pages endlessly, searching for answers that never came. Every absence only deepened the heartbreak, leaving millions to wonder if she was retreating to protect herself or gathering strength for a bigger response. But just as the storm seemed too quiet, another spark lit the fire again. The alleged mother finally broke her silence, not with an interview, but with a cryptic post, a single caption, a photo of a child, and beneath it, a line that read, "No more hiding." The internet exploded instantly. Was this confirmation a threat or a warning of more revelations to come? The cast was left shaken, scrambling to process the fallout. Some were furious at Mendeecees, others at Mona and the producers. And still more, at the possibility that someone inside their circle had played a role in keeping this secret alive. Trust was shattered, alliances cracked, and every relationship on set suddenly felt unstable. Meanwhile, Yandy's silence remained the most haunting part of the aftermath, because until she speaks, no one truly knows how far this betrayal has cut. Will she stand beside him once more? Or will this finally be the breaking point after years of sacrifice? One thing is certain, this scandal isn't finished. Not even close. The cryptic post, the unanswered questions, and the fractures among the cast have set the stage for a confrontation bigger than anything we've seen. Now, the question shifts to you. Do you believe Mendeecees can survive this? Should Yandy walk away for good? Or is there still a chance this family can be repaired? Comment your thoughts, share your take, and don't forget to subscribe because the next chapter is only just.